The 1998 Comrades Marathon saw a field over 35 miles of tarmac. Ahead of them, finish point, Pietermaritzburg. And to greet the runners at the start line, the legendary Wally Hayward, now nearly 90 years of age, 5 times winner, his first win in Comrades Marathon, the cock crow of Max Trimborn, the late Max Trimborn, now recorded as set the runners on their way for many a year. Once again, it was the same this morning as the throng settles. The leaders up front and first man today. And let's have a look at that course starting in Durban. First of the big hills is Cowie's Hill, uphill all the way nearly to the halfway point, winding through Pinetown, dropping down to Drummond at the halfway point. After Drummond and Chonga, that huge big hill, dropping down to Camperdown, and then at the highest point on the road at Umras Road, and the field drops down again, and then the dreaded Polly Shorts, a 3-kilometer climb near the end of the race. This year, a new finish at the Scottsville Racecourse in Pietermaritzburg. And the sun rises promising a warm day.
The beginnings of the Comrades were humble, a race budget of just £1 and only a handful of runners lining up outside the Maritzburg Town Hall. But it was a start, and after 8 hours 59 minutes, Bill Rowan trotted down West Street on the afternoon of Thursday the 24th of May 1921 to win the first Comrades Marathon. There were 16 finishers, and Rowan's winning time was the slowest ever, 30, the year which saw the first appearance in the Comrades of arguably its greatest ever competitor, Wally Hayward. This win by the 21-year-old marked the start of one of the most remarkable careers the world of long-distance running would ever witness. A career which would still be going strong in 1997, 67 years later.
I beat Marston Smith, I think it was only by about 30 odd seconds. That was all I beat him by. That's how he caught up.
Gutsy Scott trotted onto the field at the finish, a mere 60 metres from the finish line. But Marnie Kuhn appeared from nowhere just 6 seconds later, tearing down the straight. Malone's legs gave way, and the rest is history.
Among the first to sympathise with the gallant Malone is fine sportsman
Exponential growth in the number of participants. Athletes of the calibre of Johnny Halberstadt and Bob Delamotte, who should by rights have won the race, were thwarted by Fordyce. His win that year came in a new record time of 5:37. But for the young student, the day was surprisingly not entirely a happy one.
It was a sad thing to run a race and have most of the people at the side of the road very against you. A lot of people shouting insults and throwing things, and I had a feeling that people were hoping I would lose. The 1981 race was made part of the Republic Day festivals, and they actually paid the Comrades, they paid the CMA to make it part of the festival, to celebrate 21 years of apartheid government. And those of us who felt we just could not agree with a inverted commas celebration felt we had to show our displeasure with that, but we also felt we'd trained so hard. I'm thinking of Isabel Roche Kelly, Danny Biggs, myself, a lot of academics who were running, just felt we trained so hard. We wanted to run Comrades, but we wanted to show that we disagreed, that there was no cause to celebrate, and that 21 years of apartheid was not actually a celebration. It was a disgrace, and so we wore black armbands to show it.
By now, the Comrades was the most important single sporting event in South Africa. This was due to several factors, including the charisma of Fordyce, South Africa's sporting isolation, an explosion in the popularity of endurance events for the average person, and finally all-day live television coverage of the Comrades itself. Fordyce's tactics of coming from behind with the famous Sting handshake, marking the final overtake before the run into victory, were renowned. By the end of his career, he had won 9 races, more than any other person, and held both the up and down records. But was he not disappointed that he hadn't achieved 10 wins?
And there comes the famous Sting, as they call it.
To me, it's not that important. I mean, it seems to be quite important to a lot of other people, because I suppose it's the 10 with the 10 numbers but I mean, Martina Navratilova could only win 9 Wimbledon singles championships. And I think that's part of our sport, that's part of running. That what you always get is you get so much out of it, but it never gives you everything. I mean, everybody knows that at the end of one of their great runs, they think afterwards, I could have got a little bit faster if I just run that last hill or whatever, and that's part of running. And I mean, to me, it's not that I could have won another one later on in my career. Maybe I could have won the 1980 race if I'd been a little bolder and if Alan Robb had bothered to slow down a bit on Berea Road. I think that's the key. What can you say about a Liverpool supporter?
So there has been no influence there whatsoever. Valentina Liachova has been on her own just about the whole race, obviously supported in combis by the team management, who seem to have a bit of a free rein on the route. But Valentina Liachova is still very, very well clear. It's about 1 minute 40 since she passed us, and still no sign of Helena Bear here. We're passing all the chicken farms, the chicken runners I call it, into Pietermaritzburg.
Yes.
And it was Dmitry Grishin now on his way to a victory, and the clock says 5 hours 24 with just a couple of 100 meters to go. The record to the limits of endurance, going for the record, going for the win. And when he gets to the finish line, last time he kissed the ground on his knees. This time it's all over. He hugs the ground, he collapses, and that is no theatrical performance. That is a pure emotional, draining experience. Tears, no doubt, of joy, tears of agony and exhaustion. And who better to give him a reward than Olympic marathon champion Josiah Tigwani on hand to help him to his feet. He says, just leave me for a few seconds. This is a remarkable performance. Overshadowed anything else that happened today. Nobody was in his class. Right. Agony and the ecstasy, the motivation, the tears, the joy, the happiness, the disappointment, that is there for all to see. They help one another, they push one another, they set their goals and they achieve them. For some, it is just making it over the final line before the gun. For others, they just quite can't make it.
Women. But the glory of the day had to be shared with Percy Dunn, who finished 22nd in 5 hours 56, while running as the Licorice Man to raise money for the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund.
It was a lesson for the country, but it's now become a lesson for the world, in that Muslims, Christians, Jews and Hindus can all get together, men and women, and they strive for a common goal, which is to get to the finish line before 5 o'clock. And it's amazing how you can see that positive thing getting together, where people all help each other and all try and achieve that goal. I mean, what's the success rate? It's about 95% or something on the day. And the only people who are actually racing each other are the people in front, and even they help each other, handing out sponges and that sort of thing. And I think what it is, it says if the human race can get over its so-called external differences, we can be a fantastic species, and that's the message that comes out of Comrades, and I think that's what makes it the most important race, probably not just the ultra, but the most important race.
Running partner, but the 11-hour cut-off at 5 o'clock, a desperate struggle to get there. Gordon Davids, will he make it? Won't he make it? That official can't help him. He's got to make it all on his own. Rivati waiting to fire the gun, the chairman of the Comrades Marathon Association. A few seconds to go now. The runners desperately struggling to get over that finish line. Rivati doing the deed. And these runners all making it. Great elation. But eventually it has to happen. There it happens. And the last man to make it, 10 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds, is that Gordon Davids, all the way from Pretoria. Some of them don't make it. Very sad for them.
Gordon Davids, you're the last guy to go over the line. You nearly didn't make it. You're struggling coming over there. How do you feel now? You're live on television, Gordon.
Dead. Very dead. Brain dead from the knees up, in actual fact.